two, three, four. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know. Hey everyone, welcome back to Mr. Teach Film Preach. Merry Christmas. I hope everyone is staying safe out there. And we are going to continue today with my 12 days of Christmas watch films. And we are in the top 2. This is it. I am so excited to talk about number 2 today. This is a childhood classic. It is nostalgia up the wazoo, and I will talk about that. I love this movie. It is a big part of my childhood. It is such a funny movie, and I am going to give my second place, my silver medal, to the great comedic childhood film, Home Alone. Home Alone was directed by Chris Columbus. It was written by John Hughes, and it came out in 1990, and it stars the great and funny Macaulay Culkin. Catherine O'Hara is in this, John Candy, Joe Pesci. There's a whole slew of great comedic actors and performers in this movie. Home Alone is about the young kid, Kevin McAllister, who lives in a big family and he feels very underappreciated from his own parents, his own mother, his dad, his brother and sisters, and his own aunts and uncles and cousins that come to visit him and his family at Christmas time. He thinks they don't understand him and he doesn't understand them. He wishes that he never had a family. He wants to be alone. He gets his wish because his parents are terrible people and they leave Kevin McAllister behind when they go off to their Christmas vacation in Paris, France. Kevin McAllister is left at home alone. Title of the movie. Ding! He has to survive Christmas and has to protect his home from also these crooks, these bandits, these criminals that are trying to break into his house and rob his house. This film is a child's fantasy come to life on screen. Growing up, wanted to be the man of the house, the badass, the one that saves everyone, the hero. This movie does a great job of really building on a kid's imagination and just having fun with it. This movie is just a giant ball of blast, a giant ball of fun, wrapped up as a Christmas time movie, a heist movie, strangely enough. It is a family movie, fun thrill ride.
This is it. Don't get scared now.
This is Die Hard for kids, a crazy system of homemade devices, booby traps for these criminals to try and get their way through to this house. And he stops them because somehow this kid is smarter than 2 full-grown men who are crooks and are supposed to be successful crooks, but they're very stupid. So yes, you have to suspend your disbelief to enjoy this movie. If you look at this movie critically, it makes no sense. It's got a really terrible plot, horrible characters, crazy random story that you just have to take at face value. And if you're not able to do that, I understand that. I can't do that with some films that are out there. And so, those movies are not very good. And I'm not saying that Home Alone is that great, but I will probably end up giving this movie a lot higher of a grade than really what I should. And I just want to put that out there first things first. What I love about this movie is Kevin McAllister, played by the great, hilarious Macaulay Culkin. When he became Kevin McAllister and this movie came out, he instantly became a child star. And this became a holiday classic almost instantly. I mean, the next year, I think a year or two later, they made the second one, the sequel, so quickly because they were wanting to capitalize on that. Sequel, Lost in New York, is not nearly as good as this one, as Home Alone, the original. It's still enjoyable. I like watching it. I actually watch it a lot of times at Christmas. But if you compare it to the original, this one's a lot better. It was an original idea, an original script, and I appreciate that. Kevin McAllister is a psychopath in training. You think about it, all he had to do at some point was just call the cops. He didn't have to do all this stuff. He didn't have to go through all this planning and execution and putting his life in danger and destroying his house and all that stuff he had to do to get rid of these robbers. Like at 8:30, pick up a phone, call the cops. Hi, my name's Kevin McAllister. I'm a kid. I've been at home alone. I'm sure my parents have been calling you guys and trying to get a hold of me. There are robbers who are going to show up at 9 o'clock. Can you come get them? That's the end of the film. But this kid, he's out for blood, man. He's out for blood. He wants to take these down. It's my house. I have to defend it. Why? Why do you have to defend it? You're a 8-year-old, 9-year-old kid. Get the cops. On some level, I think that's great. Good for you, kid. But also, at the same time, it's not very practical in its writing of an actual script and story. And 9 out of these 10 of these things would not happen. Even like he puts his feet on the floor and he crushes the ornaments, and these guys wouldn't do half the things they do, and they're just stupid idiot characters because they're stupid idiot characters. Catherine O'Hara's the mom is really funny. She's an awful mom though, and I'll get to that later. And the guys who play Marv and Harry are just spot on hilarious. Their facial expressions, their physical comedy, the way that they react. I mean, they got Joe Pesci, for God's sakes. He had just come off of doing Goodfellas. This was a really interesting role for Joe Pesci to take, a really pure comedic role, but he played it still like a straight man, almost like a gangster that could be set in Goodfellas. Harry and Marv are hilarious in this film. They really add to it, and I wish that they had more of a dynamic throughout this film between the kid and Marv and Harry. But it's really only the last like 35 minutes of the film that they really come head to head, and that's maybe one of the weaker parts about this film. Being a kid and just wanting to be at home alone is amazing to watch. Being at home, watching all the videos you want, jumping up and down on the bed, eating all the food and junk food, doing your own stuff, and also learning to be kind of an adult and having to go and buy your own groceries, do your own laundry. So this film has a really nice balance of like a kid who's a little bit of fish out of water, but he is learning to become more responsible and mature. And that is the growth of Kevin McAllister in this film. And I enjoy that journey.
I'm 8 years old. You think I'd be here alone? I don't think so.
Him putting the spider on Marv's face and I mean, I would react to a spider like that. Ew. The blowtorch burning Harry's head. They get hit in the face with paint cans. They get slipped on the stairs getting into the house. He gets an iron in the face. His feet get stuck with tar, a nail through the foot, a shovel to the face. They fall out of a tree. They get shot in the balls with a gun. They get shot in the face.
Hello.
They burn their hands. These guys get the shit beat out of them by a 8 or 9-year-old kid. This is obviously where we have a lot of fun with the movie, and it's such a great time. And we've been building up this whole time to get here, and it only lasts like 25 minutes. It's kind of disappointing actually as an adult now watching this film, because you know what's coming. You hope it's going to be great, and it is. But as an adult now watching it, oh man, this movie is really about the mom and the parents being in Paris, Kevin being at home, the back and forth of like the parents trying to get back to Kevin and Kevin just surviving on his own. That's really like the good first half of this film. Realize at some point that that's really all this movie is. It's not trying to say much more than that. It's not trying to be much more than that. It's just trying to put on a fun, kid-friendly Christmas film fantasy that we all would love to be in. Not a lot of depth to these Christmas films sometimes, and that's okay. And I'm glad that they don't go too heavy into anything, that they keep it light and fluffy and fun. Where this movie really falls down, if you're looking at this film critically, is the plot. It makes no sense. There's so many coincidences. Harry and Marv seeing the kid and then just kind of recognizing him. You know how many people they would be running into? You just wouldn't be able to see a kid from far away, talk to him, and then just realize like that's the kid that we need to like go up against. So there's a lot of inconsistency with the storytelling. The plot holes of time in this movie make no sense. Kevin has an hour to prepare for the arrival of Harry and Marv at the end of the film and get all of his contraptions and stuff ready in 1 hour. Okay, these videos to record take about 30 minutes to an hour, and just to prepare for them takes like 2-3 hours, and to edit, like there's no way he could have done all of that setting up within an hour. That's bull. Able to just accept this film for those things and just get over those mistakes of continuity and times. The mother and the father are horrible people. They leave their kid at home, they just take off, and that's it. Like, what? Oh man, it's so crazy. And so I don't really have a lot of sympathy for them and don't really care about their characters all that much in this film. This film spends a little bit too much time on the mom and dad and the family and being in Paris. Like I want more time with Kevin at home, figuring stuff out, but also getting into more interactions with Harry and Marv. And we do get that a little bit more in Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. But in this film, I just wanted a bit more of that. Instead of just having the mom try and get flights and stuff, I wish that the parents were gone for the movie and we just focused on Harry and Marv and Kevin and being there in Chicago. The rest of the stuff with the parents in Paris, maybe cut to 1 or 2 scenes, but I would say a good like 1/3 of the film is the mom and traveling and figuring stuff out with the family, and it felt so unnecessary. And I think we just would have had a little bit more focus on those characters instead of being kind of spread throughout Paris and Chicago. And it just, a lot of this movie feels unnecessary with the parents. If you can't get past the mistakes of this movie, I can see why some people might not like it, but this is a classic. This is a holiday hit. You do not get much better than this for a family funny Christmas film. Each time I watch this movie, I laugh out loud. Even as an adult, this film still holds up in its humor, in its delivery, and its sweetness, its wholeheartedness, and its Christmas feel. It makes you just feel great and awesome about Christmas time. If I hadn't grown up with this film, I might have given this a little bit of a lesser grade. I acknowledge that and I'm aware of that. Take it with a grain of salt when I say I'm gonna go ahead and give Home Alone an A-. So much fun. You guys will have an awesome time with it, and I'm so excited to watch this film again next Christmas, or maybe even before that.
You guys give up or you're thirsty for more?
You guys like Home Alone? Do you like Home Alone 2 more? What do you guys think about the awful characters in this movie of the mom and dad? Like, they're the worst people ever. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. I appreciate you guys coming and checking them out. If you like this video, click like down below, subscribe. That would be amazing. Hope you guys are having wonderful holidays. Come back for some more Mr. Teach Film Preach and the 12 Days of Chris Must Watch Films. Merry Christmas. Take care of you and your family. Lots of love from me and mine. And as always, let's get taught.